Welcome to the Inner Blueprint Podcast. I'm Shawn the Universal Mindset Disruptor. With over 20 years of turning blueprints into thriving home improvement businesses, I've learned that the strongest foundations start in your mind. Whether you're building a business or your own success, we're here to reshape how you think and face daily life and always remind you to enjoy the ride. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Inner Blueprint, the podcast all about mindset, all about thinking better thoughts so you get better results. I'm your co-host, Shawn, the Universal Mindset Disruptor, here today with my lovely co-host, Miss Kaitlin Foyer. What's up?
Hello.
What are you doing here?
I'm here because you're here.
All right.
And I'm here because I want to be here.
You want to do this thing together?
Always.
All right. Did you always want to do this thing together?
Dear God, no. I didn't want to do most things together.
Oh, no.
And not with you prior to meeting you.
Yeah. So should we talk about that? Relationships, maybe partnerships? How does that sound?
I think let's do a little bit of a deep dive on that.
All right. Where do you want to start? Why
we work together. Let's start with some of the questions we get the most is this real?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you guys really this happy? You guys work together, you guys live together, you travel together, you hang out together, like everything about you two is together. Like if Shawn's
don't
somewhere,
you need your own time?
Yeah, don't you need your own time? Like, don't you want girls trips? Don't you want guys trips? And it's like, well, yeah, but no. Right? When you're with your favorite human, doing things that you genuinely love.
You don't really need much else.
You don't need much else. And people are like, oh, you'll grow out of that. Like, it's been over 5 years. Like, I get that. I get that things change from 5 years to 20 years to 30 years or whatever. But I also think that that's a cultural paradigm.
No, it is. It is. And that's one because we've experienced, I've got a 20-year previous relationship. You've got a 14-year. Yeah. And so we've seen longevity and how certain things can take away from a relationship, but we've both actually committed that, we're at year 5. When we look back at pictures and experiences, we've done, I swear, 10 to 15 years worth of trips, experiences.
Oh, we've been through more together in 5 years than I was in my previous marriage.
Yeah.
Completely.
Financial challenges, death and loss, conflicts. We've been through all kinds of things.
Legal challenges, like all sorts of things, right?
Yeah. So as we're talking about this, and I think, for us, we'll hit on the fact that we created a partnership and a union in marriage, and we've also created a partnership in our work. But for you listening, we have lots of people we work with that are powerful couples.
Yep.
But you don't have to work in the same business. We're going to talk about how we do.
Yeah.
But the principles we're talking about, if you're listening, and for listeners, if you're already in a relationship, hopefully we give you some tips and tricks that will help make that relationship better. If you're someone who's searching for that relationship, you're single right now, hopefully we'll still give you some tips because you don't create what you want, you create who you are. And for Kaitlin, our partnership literally started with each one of us on an individual mission, trying to find more for ourselves. Yeah,
to be the best. Like, I wanted to be the best Kaitlin. I wanted to dive into, like, why am I super unemotional? Like, why do I refuse to ever be sad?
Why don't I believe in love?
Why don't
I value my time?
Why do I feel unlovable? Why do I not believe that anybody really loves anyone? Like, what is this? I want to be like the best Kaitlin I could be. And that's when you walked into my life, which was so wild.
Well, and it is crazy. And we've talked about it before, but we met at a personal development seminar here in Salt Lake City.
It's true.
Literally both of us walking in that room, and I had blinders on. I wasn't there to meet anybody. I was there out of obligation to my... No, is that... No, I'm just kidding. No, but I was going. My daughter had done the program, seen a lot of success. I suggested she go, so I was somewhat obligated, but still went in there. I'm a mindset coach. This is some kind of a mindset program at some level. I'm going to see what I can get. Maybe I can get some tips or tricks for my clients, which, oh my gosh, I did. I really became a better coach after that training, but then I started my friendship with you, and
I fell fast, which was wild. I went to that I went to that same group because my friend Sarah, who I worked with, was wildly successful, was just full of love. Like, I could tell she had so much confidence. She just radiated like peace. And I was like, whatever Sarah says to
And
do.
financially, she was doing very well at the company.
She was
a leader.
killing it, right? That was my first thing, was like, I want to make so much money as Sarah. And then I was like, I want to be like Sarah. Like, whatever she's doing, I'm going to do. And it was so funny because most people would be like, oh, well, it was the sales training. Like, is it a sales training? Like, I would think it was something to do with business, and it was actually nothing to do with business. However, it was kind of everything to do with business. Mm-hmm. That's why I was there, right? Yeah. And it made me kind of like, well, if this isn't just like a business training, I need to dive into where I'm holding myself back, what like I really believe about myself, and is it true? And yeah, that's when we met.
Yeah, and so I think for anybody, if you're looking to create a better partnership, the partnership starts with you as individuals.
Yeah.
And both Kayla and I met on our journey working on ourselves. And what does that mean to get clear? I mean, I literally was trying to figure out what I wanted professionally, amount of money I wanted to earn, type of work. I was already doing it, but I wanted to take it to the next level. For me, my personal relationships, what do I want to spend my time doing? And really getting clear and purposeful on what I'm doing. And you can do this inside of a relationship. We started outside of a relationship with each other.
You can do it
But
today.
you can do it inside. Both of you have conversations and talk about, okay, this is what I want. And this is what she wants. And look for the differences so you can support each other. And then look for the similarities so you can get that collaborative energy. And again, we eventually took it to working together in the business. But when we started dating, you were a sales professional, you were a gym coach, you were a part-time photographer, you were doing all these things. Mm-hmm. I was running my mindset coaching business. Did you have some paradigms about working with me?
Yeah, I said I would never would. I'd only seen bad examples. I'd only ever witnessed bad examples. People that end up getting divorced, breaking up, business goes under, they hate each other. They could like I spent time with people that worked together and they could not stand to be around each other, right? They were like, oh, it's because we never have a break. This
is interesting. I'm just thinking about this coming to me on the fly. And as we do, we don't script any of these.
Where are we going?
When we talk about partnerships, we're talking about like a power couple partnership here. But when you think about it in business, when partnerships are made, whether it be 2 partners, 3 partners, that's one of the most challenging parts of business is a partnership.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact percentage, but it's a very high failure rate of partnerships. And when you look in marriages, and I don't know the specific statistic, but I know it's very high. Marriage and divorce is at highest rates it's ever been. And then when you talk about second marriages, even higher.
Yep.
And as Kaitlin and I got together, we had 2 commitments. One is if we partner and get married, you're stuck with me for the rest of your life. This is never changing. I'm not going through what I went through in the past ever again. And in business, I've been in challenging partnerships with my father and other situations. I never wanted to create it. So how do you create long-lasting partnerships that succeed? And again, the first step is as individuals, always getting crystal clear of what you want. Because the worst thing about a partnership, whether it be in business or in personal relations, is for you to say you want one thing, partner with somebody who also says they want it, getting down the road and finding out one or both of you actually wanted something different. or
you're saying you want it, but then you're acting a completely different way, right?
Yes, or it got hard and you changed your mind.
Yeah, yep.
Because that's one thing, we've talked in the past episodes about our core values on our business. All in. We are all in on each other. Yeah. Like all in. Like for us to make a personal partnership and a professional partnership, we're all in. It doesn't matter how hard it gets. It doesn't matter what challenge comes up. It's Kaitlin and I against the world. It's not us against each other ever.
And we're all in so much that we don't hide things from each other. And I think that is one of the things that makes all of our partnerships so easy, right? Mm-hmm. And so successful is because there isn't ever like this hiding. And I know like wives, you do this like, oh, I got to hide the Amazon packages, or, oh, I'm going to go buy this. I'm going to hide it in my closet. So my husband thinks I always had it. Or
it happens on the husband side too.
On the husband side too. Like I'm not going to tell my wife this, or I'm going to go do this. And you guys can never tell my wife that. Like there's so many things. And in partnerships too, how many people do that? I'm going to do this to the business, but I cannot tell this person, like, who's your partner. And that is ridiculous to me, hiding things from each other.
Yeah, well, so step one, I want to try and make this a little bit organized. So step one is each as individuals getting clear on what you want.
Yeah.
And then step 2 is starting, and if you're already in a relationship, you can start this now, have vulnerable conversations.
Open.
And vulnerable conversation is a truthful conversation.
Yes, vulnerable doesn't mean you sit there and cry. I mean, it might mean Shawn sits there and cry.
But only because I'm speaking my truth.
Yes, but being vulnerable just means speaking the truth. That is it. That is the full encompasses all of it. If you are being vulnerable, you're speaking the truth. Like, you're 100% truth.
And the most powerful truth you can speak is, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
I mean, in a personal relationship, I'm afraid if I spend too much on the Amazon card, you're going to get mad at me and not love me anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a silly example.
I'm afraid if I buy this, you're going to yell at me.
Yeah, you're going to be upset. And if you're upset, I mean, again, rabbit hole to what it is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't want to be alone. I chose to be in this relationship.
I'm way more afraid of being alone. Yeah.
And I want to be with you. But honestly, I mean, have the vulnerable conversations. You know, in business partnerships, you know, you may have had a bad business relationship in the past. You can't bring that into the present one.
Yeah.
So you have to clear the air and talk about, okay, in my past partnership, there was issues with integrity on money. There was hiding expenses. There was, you know, wanting different things. And these are my concerns. And now, because again, every partnership starts with a strong foundation.
Yes.
What is it being built on? And for me and Kaitlin, in our personal relationship, we both had challenges in the past. We were actually both going through challenges in the present.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had vulnerable conversations. Hey, babe.
We had to.
This is what I'm afraid of. This is where I've been hurt in the past. This is where I know I become maybe an insecure, powerful man, right? And you did the same thing with me.
Very much.
And it was through that. And again, we don't make this episode about vulnerability, but if you ever do any study on vulnerability, it's about taking the walls down.
Yep.
Because not being vulnerable is being protected. Well, how do we protect ourselves? By closing off our heart a little bit, by not communicating clearly. And what that does is it blocks clear communication. And for any partnership to work, the number one failure in partnerships in any relationship is communication.
Yeah, it is.
Miscommunication, lack of communication, unclear communication. I mean, really, so step one is do work on yourself, get clear about what you want. Step two is powerful conversations. And step three is, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. What was I just saying there?
Talking about communication. I'm like, where are we
communication.
going for this?
Step three is communication.
Yes, it is communication.
Yeah. Vulnerable, powerful, straight communication. Like,
it's so huge, and it's so often seen. Like, Shawn and I were watching a movie this week, and we do not watch TV or movies, but we had time to watch a movie I'd never seen before.
On a Saturday afternoon.
Right? We got home from the gym. We're like, we're going to watch a movie. We got time. But it was so funny. It was the premise of it was this couple made this decision together.
Well,
but
for
then
anybody, it was indecent
It
proposal.
was an indecent proposal.
She'd
right?
never seen it. We were talking about it. I'm like, oh, you got to see it.
it.
Robert Redford makes this indecent proposal to Woody Harrelson.
And I love Woody Harrelson
Demi
and Demi
Moore.
Moore. And it was so funny because if I would have watched that movie a few years ago without the filter that I see now, I would have been like, well, they should have never done that. That decision broke them up. But now I'm like, the decision happened. It's how they're choosing to communicate or not to communicate about it that is the issue. Mm-hmm. This whole movie comes down to communication.
Yes.
That is where they fucked up.
And miscommunication.
They stopped communicating.
Yes. And not being vulnerable, not speaking what the real
truth.
concerns were.
Yeah.
No, it's
like,
true.
and it's so funny. I'm like, I feel like if I watched any movie now, like any rom-com, I would look at it and be like, I think 99% of the time, the issue would be a miscommunication or poor communication.
And again, talking about vulnerability and communication, mm-hmm. when you don't communicate and you're upset about something, what builds up?
Resentment. And resentment
is the killer of relationships, honestly. Yeah, I mean, you think about in that movie, like there were some things that weren't communicated that resentment started to build up. And once resentment built up,
they were done.
Game over.
Yeah, it was totally game over quickly.
And I think, crazy. In business relationships and personal, whenever you see resentment starting, you got to nip it in the bud. You got to, because resentment over time leads to indifference. And indifference,
there's no coming back from that.
No, indifference leads to divorce. Indifference leads to business partnerships breaking up. When you get to the point of indifference, you've dealt with so much resistance. And again, there's a whole phenomenon behind this in the human heart. In Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning in Life, which is about his experience in the Holocaust, he talks about that when the heart is hurt over and over, it literally builds up a resistance to it, which creates this indifference. And in personal relationships, if I'm indifferent, it means I don't feel love or hate for you. I feel absolutely nothing.
Yeah, there's still hope if there's hate, right?
Yes,
because
if you're still
it's an
angry
emotion.
and upset, there's still emotion there. But when you get to like indifference, it's gone. There's nothing there. And we've both experienced that in past relationships, and we don't ever want to experience that. So
because there's no coming back from it. Honestly, there isn't. Once you've hit that point of indifference, like
it's a protection in the heart.
If you're at the point of indifference in a relationship in your life, it's time for that relationship. Like that relationship's run its course. It's time to move on. I hate to say it, but it's
if you
very
really
true.
say you don't care, you don't
and
care.
you genuinely do not care. You're not like, I'm going to say this so I hope I get this response. No, like you genuinely do not care. You
Two
are
shits less.
completely, completely like there is no emotion there. That relationship has run its course. I'm so sorry to say, but actually I'm not sorry to say. Be grateful for it that it ran its course and move on. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
But
how do we, and again, how do we keep from getting into indifference? Restate it.
That's it.
Get clear on what you want as individuals.
Be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable and have honest conversations, and then keep communicating.
You never stop communicating.
Never stop communicating.
Sean and I have a weekly check-in, right? We have a weekly check-in where we just check in.
We have daily check-ins.
We do have daily, but like this is what I tell clients too is sometimes if you're feeling a certain way about something and you don't have the time to address it right then, give it the 24-hour rule. Is it something that is really bothering me, or was I just caught up in the moment? And sometimes that 24-hour rule can wait a little bit more than 24 hours. Am I still feeling this way? Is it still bothering me? Why is it bothering me? Is he really acting that way? Am I really acting that way? I always think everything, like any kind of like anything where I'm triggered, I like to give it 24 hours to go, am I really triggered in this? Like, is this really bothering me? Is this true? Is it real? Is it mine? Is it part of this relationship, or is it something from the past? Do I need to talk about it? But having like a weekly check-in where you can really dive in deep to like anything that really did bother you this week, or anything important coming up, or anything you're feeling like scared, nervous about, that's really important because you have that time set out where you can really dive into that. It's not like the kids aren't going to be bothering you and you don't have a meeting coming up. Like it is a full carved out time in your schedules where it's just the two of you. I think that's so important. Obviously having daily check-ins too, and hourly check-ins if you can. We can't always have hourly check-ins. We sometimes can't even have full daily check-ins because we get to the end of the day, we've dealt with so many things and we're just like, I don't want to talk for a minute. Like I can't talk to another person and I love you, but we need to just decompress and not talk about work anymore or talk about anything like that. It is just really important though to always have that open communication, but having a designated time in your schedule with your partner, doesn't matter what partner they are, like there needs to be that a minimum of once a week, minimum of once a week.
With couples, we recommend a weekly date night, and we do.
You have to
have a date night. It's just Kayla and I a little bit of time. You know, in businesses, you know, if you've got a partner in your business, you should have a weekly check-in. Go out to breakfast once a week, go to lunch, just the two of you, no other distractions. And this isn't any business like EOS or anything. This is just relationship. I need to have these check-ins. And
there should be an EOS for relationship.
At least monthly, worst quarterly, like we do overnighters, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll go downtown even if we're not traveling, because when we travel, we're usually with clients or with the girls. If we need some alone time, we'll just get a hotel downtown and go spend the night, have a night out, and really recharge.
Yeah, that happens like once every month or two. We do that. We have to do that, right? So we do a weekly date night. We do a monthly or bi-monthly overnight, and then we do a nice trip, like a trip to just the two of us, once to twice a year.
I think one of the things I'm thinking about this, because we've kind of recapped, and for us, it was the starting point of our relationship, how we maintain. But this is an important one, especially as we grow as a couple and get more successful. Just having like, and I don't want to call it rules of engagement, but kind of rules of engagement or boundaries. Like,
oh yes,
like I know what upsets you, you know what upsets me. When we go out into the world and we're together all the time, but when we do separate, you know, how do we behave? And this isn't about controlling your partner.
No.
This is about being able to communicate. You know, in our industry, you know, a lot of our clients go together to industry events. Sometimes they go separate. You'll have men and women hanging out together and just trying to maintain for you and your relationship what's appropriate.
What's our rules of engagement? Like that's Sean and I have that, and it's so interesting because he had his whole life before me where he was a single guy and he's very well known in the industry, and so people are always wanting to talk to him, pull him apart, things like that, pull him away to have like individual conversations, one-on-one, things like that. And I had my whole life before where I worked events. Like that my job was to
talk to as many people
as I can, create as many relationships as I can, try to get partnerships right away. Like that is my whole life. So when we are together at these events, we're both very outgoing people. We're very talkative. People know us. They want to talk to us. They want to pull one-on-one. They want to get us to go do these things, stuff like that. And we've actually gotten into some situations where he's like, hey, I wasn't cool with that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. I didn't think of that. I was just being friendly, building a relationship. But to you, that wasn't okay for one reason or the other. I didn't do anything necessarily wrong because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was nothing inappropriate. But okay, cool. Yeah, let's get on the same page with that, right? And you've done that too, where I'm like, you disappear with someone and I like find out it's a woman and I'm like, what are you doing? And you're like, she needed to talk to me about this, this, and this. And I'm like, I love you and I love her, but like also kind of not okay with that. Like that brought to me a lot of feelings of insecurity and not enoughness, which I know is a me issue.
But this is the thing too, though. This is where I think, and I love that we have this in our relationship.
Yeah.
It's okay to be insecure. It's okay to communicate it, right? Like if I'm insecure and I communicate it to you, you don't call me a needy bitch. You don't make me feel like less of a man.
I'm not like, what's your problem?
Yeah. And you don't feel like I'm trying to control you because I'm
Absolutely
not. You're just open and honest. And sometimes you validate it. And sometimes you call me out and say, no, Shawn, you need to look at it a different way.
Absolutely.
And I think that's just a powerful thing is to have, and even not professionally, we usually travel together, but we had, this year a couple times where I went to a professional event, you went with the girls to a cheer comp. We both know what our expectations are of each other.
And it really isn't. It's so interesting because, again, it doesn't come from this feeling of lack. It comes from this feeling of like, I know how great I have it. I know how important to me this relationship is. I never want anything to happen or come between that. And I never want, even more importantly, anything to be perceived like it could.
Yeah.
I don't want someone else looking at that and going, oh, they're not together and he's with this person or she's out with these people. And they don't know the relationship. They don't know that these men are like my brothers and like clients and I love them, but it could be looked at a certain way. And I never want there to be doubt. I never want there to be a conversation where they're like, oh, Kaitlin and Shawn aren't as strong as they think.
Yeah.
Or like,
and again, people are always going to talk shit and we don't do anything because I care what people think, but we do things because we care what each other thinks. And if it's something, even if it's that someone else thinks something that would make Kaitlin feel uncomfortable, that's important to me. I don't want her to ever feel uncomfortable. And so, for us, it's just being able to have, and it's funny too, I don't know why I was just rabbit hole thinking about this, but it's the same thing. We have teenage daughters and, our oldest likes to just do what she wants. And
always.
You were like, no, I mean, with teenagers, there's got to be rules of engagement. There's got to be boundaries. That's why we put a curfew. That's why we ask you. And we're not trying to control her. We're wanting her, she's 16 years old.
She needs to learn how to communicate.
An adult in a couple of years, but she's got to be able to communicate. She's got to understand. And why do we care? Because we care. Because we love you. We want to know where you're going. We want to know who you're being with. Just because we want to try and help keep you safe. And I think in personal relationships, sometimes, and I've just heard a lot about men being called controlling and manipulative, and I've been called that. And that's never my intent.
So funny.
No, that's never my intent. I think
it's the funniest thing you've ever been called.
I know, but to me, you are valuable and we are valuable.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to protect that if I can, right? Because we do live in a shitty world. I wish I could say everybody has good intentions. People don't.
No.
There's asshole people out there that, maybe see you and want what you have. And if they can't have it, they're going to try and take you down. Yeah. And I don't want to give that a lot of energy, but that's kind of the world we live in.
But we want to be like impenetrable, really, is what it comes down to. Like we
not
want to
what
be
we are.
we are, but we want to make sure that everybody knows that. Like no one could try to pull me away or no one could try to pull Shawn away. Like they would be laughed at if they tried, right? Because it's something that our energy and connection is so strong that there's nothing that between it. If in your business you have a partner, that should be the same thing. There should be no other person or company that comes in and tries to steal your partner away. That's ridiculous. Or tries to infiltrate your business by separating you two. Like that should not be a thing. There should be rules of engagement in that partnership as well. Like, hey, if we're taking these meetings, I'm meeting with these people and you're meeting with these people, we need to be like, these are the topics we talk on. This is how we answer those things so that we are really impenetrable.
This is the other thing too, I think in any relationship, but this is just coming up for me. I forgot because in some of my past, I had a partner who would talk to other people about our problems. Oh. And I mean, maybe they're sisters, maybe people they love, but that's not good for a relationship. Like if Kaitlin and I have an issue and I'm talking to somebody else about it, or she's talking it, we actually do have some mutual friends that we talk to together.
That's it.
Right? Together. We'll bring it up and say, hey, we're having this issue. Could you give us your perspective on it? But she's my number one. If we have an issue, and even in businesses, I've seen business partners where one of them's upset.
They go talk
and he's talking to everybody in the world. But his business
or
partner. Or
talking to everybody in the business, right?
Or
talking
even
to
worse.
other people in the business,
Yes.
and then they're talking to other people in the business, and it's creating this divide. And, we're seeing that right now in our country.
Yeah.
Division is how you just break things up.
Yeah.
It's how you, it's
and if
ridiculous.
you want to protect any partnership, if it's you and one other person, if it's you and 3 or 4 other people in a business partnership, right? Take it to the source. If there's an issue with Kaitlin and I don't talk to the girls about our problem. I don't talk about my buddies about our problems. I talk to her.
Yeah, we go
because
take it right to the
there's
source.
only one person that can help. If there's a problem with Kaitlin and I, there's only one person that can help me with that.
That's it.
Well, Probably me first, look in the mirror and make sure it's not me being a jackass. But
That's why I say the 24-hour thing. Like,
Yes.
is this real? Is it mine? Is it true? Is this him or is it me? We'll see.
But then again, like just honest communication between the two of us.
Honest, authentic, like all of those things are so huge. And then understanding each other's roles in a relationship, right? Like what Shawn does in the business is not what I do in the business. What Shawn does at home is not what I do at home.
Yeah, and this is interesting.
Shawn
This has been
parenting.
challenged over the last decade or so.
Extremely.
The idea of the powerful masculine and the feminine. And again, we're not going to go into any political topics on this. For Kaitlin and I, we believe in male versus female energy. I am the male. She is the female.
I'm a woman.
And what is the female in the divine feminine? What is that energy about?
Intuition is the number one thing. A woman's intuition is what we are revered for. It is what we're respected for. You know, hundreds of years ago, that is what women were known for.
Intuitive, but also what about the creative? Because
yes,
creation.
I mean, there's so many more
Where did
things.
our daughters come from?
From me.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
You know, like it's so true. Though, because there's so many aspects and attributes that a woman naturally, like we naturally possess as women. There are so many attributes and strengths that men possess as well. When I try to teeter into that.
Well, you were in your masculine when I met you, 100%.
I was.
You were a provider, a protector, right?
Very much so. And I was ignoring my intuition. I wasn't creative. I wasn't doing these things. I was trying, but I was so far in my masculine, I couldn't because I was so caught up in that boss bitch culture, right? I think it's toxic.
We just shifted from professional personal relationships here because this mostly shows up in personal relationships.
But also in professional relationships, in the business, this happens very much so. So if like you work with your partner or if your partner's female and you're male,
yes,
you have to understand that there are certain things that a woman does better in business and there are certain things that a man does better in business. And I can never be resentful to Shawn for what he's better at. And the same goes, like it goes both ways. He can't be resentful for that. And I have to respect him, trust him, and honor him with his strengths, and he needs to do the same for me.
The exact same, yeah.
And that is why our success has been skyrocketed since we came together, not just in a personal relationship, but in a professional relationship, and understanding like we have completely different roles in the business, right? Some things overlap, but not in the same way, which is really, really interesting to me. And that is something, that duality and that balance of opposites is something that you really need to look at, like, and you have to respect it.
Well, let's talk a little bit, because so we talked about the feminine is the nurturing, the intuitive, the creation, right?
Yeah.
And the masculine is the provider, the protector, you know, the kind of make things happen part of it. Like she has a dream, I'm going to actually go to work and take some of the physical steps.
Yeah.
She's going to support it intuitively and just with her energy and power. But if you think about, and I love the yin yang sign, right?
Yeah.
It's got the really the balance of opposites, because you've got the black and white in the circle, and then you've got a dot of white and a dot of black. And that's the interlap is I am very powerful in my masculine, but I am in touch and in tune with the feminine, so I can connect to her. And Miss Kaitlin is very good at leaning into her feminine now. It's taking some work.
Yeah.
But she can very powerfully step into the masculine to get shit done, to step into it.
Which is
But
crazy.
we want to keep that balance. I mean,
we definitely want to keep that balance, because I was very unbalanced at first, and we were. But once I took that deep dive into it, so like women, if you're listening, you're in your business. When I took that deep dive of being, I didn't think being feminine was a weakness. I realized it was my superpower. Our business has skyrocketed since I really just stopped trying to be this ultimate pusher, masculine, get shit done person.
Balance of opposites. We just balance each other.
Yes.
We just very beautifully balance each other. Right, Miss Kaitlin? We could probably do a whole episode of that. I don't want to go too deep on that.
Oh, we definitely will. Let's definitely do an episode on that.
But take a look at your situation right now. If you want a more powerful partnership, apply some of the things we talked about. If you like this episode, please hit the like, subscribe, share it with somebody, share it with your partner if you want to have these kind of conversations.
Share with us.
And share it with us.
I mean, anything. Like if you're like, hey, I love this, or could you expound more on that?
I was talking about the episode. Don't need to share the episode with us.
I mean,
we have a copy. No, but if you have questions or concerns, reach out to us.
Yes, and share with us what your feelings are, what your thoughts are. Like we would love to hear it. We'd love to hear it.
And as always, thanks for listening. Welcome to the Inner Blueprint Podcast. I'm Shawn Foyer, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. With over 20 years of turning blueprints into thriving home improvement businesses, I've learned that the strongest foundations start in your mind. Whether you're building a business or your own success, we're here to reshape how you think and face daily life, and always remind you to enjoy the ride.